Hello everyone, it's Shane Kanto, your Wasteland reviewer, and I'm here to review Velvet Buzzsaw. And I was really excited because this was a new collaboration between Dan Gilroy and Jake Gyllenhaal after getting to see Nightcrawler and loving that film and thinking that film was really, really underappreciated. And then Netflix picked up this film and was producing it and bringing it to the small screen, and I have to say, the biggest feeling that I had was a little disappointment leaving this film, because this film really doesn't hit as hard as it really could have. And that's really disappointing because Nightcrawler is a film that hits hard. It's tense, it's unnerving, and this film should have been tense and unnerving and honestly terrifying, because one thing that I could say about this horror film, which on some level it's trying to be, is it has a lot of great imagery and a lot of great ideas, but when it really comes down to the execution, not all of it really works. Like, it's hitting so hard and actually terrifying you or scaring you to begin with. Because this film really centers around the idea of art and artistic process and that idea, because there's a lot of artists in this film and there's art criticism and what it means, and the idea that people are haunted by art in this film is really unnerving, because that's an unnerving thing to see, is art coming to life and attacking people. And there's some great imagery in this film that really could have worked well, but for some reason Dan Gilroy's direction just doesn't click to the point where, boom, this scared me. It's more, I was sitting there, I'm like, oh, this is kind of tense. I like what this was going for. That has a lot of imagination to it, but it didn't scare me. And that's the tricky part about this. And it's interesting because I could compare this to Happy Death Day a little bit, like the original one, because they're supposed to be scares, and I can understand the setup of the scares, and some of them are really thought out. But the thing is, when it really came down to it, like, I didn't sit in the theater scared watching that movie. I wasn't sitting at home scared for the majority of these scares in this film. But I felt some decent tension being built up with some of these set pieces. There's one particular one that really, really unnerved me, and it was actually pretty freaky, and it had to do with a machine, because how it like moved and how it interacted was just so creepy and freaky. And one thing that I could really say is Robert Elswit's cinematography is great in this film, and the camera work is great, and that really works because this is a gorgeous film. The colors, the lighting, the camera work, the music by Marco Beltrami is unnerving and creepy in this film. And those things work, like the technical aspects, but there's just missing some, like, that it factor. And I think one of the big things is I didn't really feel a great connection to anybody in this film until maybe later in the film when one particular character has a bit of a turn. But there's not a lot of empathy or connection being drawn between you and the characters, because you feel like you're at such a arm's distance from them, and none of them are particularly likable. And because you have Jake Gyllenhaal's character, who's a critic, and Rene Russo and Zawe Ashton, and they're some of the main characters of this film, and honestly, it's like, do I really care about you? And it has some intriguing, unnerving things to say about art and criticism, and I appreciated those aspects of this film, but overall, I felt like this film was just missing something that really made it work. And would I be willing to watch this again? I think I would. Like, with somebody else. I'm not going to sit there like, oh, I really want to watch this again for myself, but I would watch it with somebody. That's kind of my recommendation for this. It's like, it's worth a watch just to see it, because I feel like this is a better effort than most Netflix original films, and I feel like it's worth at least checking out because it has a lot of potential. And that's also one of the potentially frustrating things, because in the performances they're strong. The Jake Gyllenhaal, as always, is great, and he really steals this film. And he's so engaging, and he's probably the closest character I got to actually like caring about somebody and really feeling a connection. And he really sells it, and that's great. And Renee Russo was great in Nightcrawler, and I think she does a fine job in this film as well. Overall, I think it's worth a watch. It's on Netflix, so it's a pretty easy just watch. But in general, I think Velvet Buzzsaw was a little disappointing, and don't expect to get super scared about it. But let me know what you think and comment. And thank you as always for supporting your Wasteland reviewer.